This is designed to be kind of a quick look at the Ravens' final play, which we know resulted in a strip sack. Great effort play, a win off the left side edge rush by Kayvon Thibodeau. Not a Giants fan, but respect the guy, root for him. So good for him. It was his first sack. Clearly a little bit of a mismatch, I think, athletically. Kayvon Thibodeau going up against Patrick McCarry. But we're going to look at the final play. I'll have a little bit to say about it. And then we're going to compare it to some previous Ravens passing concepts. Now, ultimately, at that point in the game, in the final drive, I think it's 2 minutes left, or maybe it's a minute and 59 or something like that. And I believe the Ravens have two timeouts, maybe three, but be that as it may, I think the playbook is open. I think you have more in the playbook than just this really basic and extremely limited pass play that we called. And you may say, well, Coach, you're pointing the finger at just Greg Roman and our offensive staff. Well, I mean, they are the buck does stop with them in terms of the offensive play calls. And I think this play call, if I'm able to explain it to you well enough, you'll recognize it. It's extremely limited. And I think that's what I think is Ryan Mink. I'm not even sure who he works for, but he put the post up on Twitter, and people missed the point on it. He was basically saying, where's Lamar supposed to go with the football based upon a read? And some of you may say, well, Coach, it's man. There's no read in man. That's not true at all. There are reads if the play is designed well, and that's my whole point. I don't think the play is designed to be a man beater. I don't think the play is designed to spring open, let's just say, a lesser athletic, slower receiver, or an Isaiah Likely, a bigger, strong tight end. There's no attempt to scheme those guys open. Compare it to the 3rd and 4, the touchdown pass that Wan'Dale Robinson caught in the left corner of the end zone. Now it's a different situation. They're down in the end zone. It's 3rd down. If they don't complete that, they get the field goal. Wonderful, great. Okay, it is a different situation. Having said that, it is an attempt by the offense to recognize we have Marlon Humphrey, we have Marcus Peters, and if we match up man, we're able to lock up at least two guys. Let's spring someone open. Wan'Dale Robinson's a talented guy. I'm not saying he's a lesser talented player, but let's spring someone open by a pick rub concept. We didn't do any of that. And that's my point. There was a lot more available to us than just this basic pass play that really gave Lamar very little options. Let it run through one time. You can see it. Look, you got a great effort by Ronnie Stanley, a guy who's come back from injury, serious injury, been out for a long time, trying to dive on the football. Doesn't end up in our favor. Credit to Giants for staying tough. Let's talk about the routes a little bit, and we'll get back to it later. Clearly, you have an obvious double team. Some people call it a bracket double team on Andrews, no problem. You've got man on Duvernay, the number one receiver to our right. You've got man on Demarcus Robinson, the numbers one receiver to our left. And I believe that's Prochet running this kind of like slot fade, which the free safety is going to. All right, we'll pull this back a little bit, talk just for a moment. Where's the read? What is there for Lamar to read? Like, I'm not saying Lamar played well in the fourth quarter. He did not. I mean, if you don't like that, don't watch the channel. He's my favorite player. I've spent hundreds of hours of my time creating this channel, which is basically centered on Lamar Jackson. So believe what you want. I really don't care. But he's not playing well. But this play is not designed well for us to do anything. One of the best spread coaches that I've been around is like, if you think you've got a double team on one side of the field and you're going to have a free safety roll to the other side, cool, the slot fade is an answer. This isn't. There's no read there, meaning Prochet, I think that's Prochet. It might be someone else. It's a glare up here for me, but there's no read here for this. Prochet's guarded inside technique man by the slot corner to prevent a slant or anything like that. I feel like you'd be better served to have something like this, with Andrews running his route here. So Lamar has something up to the top side of the field. Read the free safety. He goes with Prochet. Okay, I'm coming back to Demarcus Robinson in the middle of the field. The free safety sits for whatever reason. All right, I'll throw the slot fade somewhere up here to Prochet, give him a chance to catch the ball. I don't think it's a great allocation of resources in terms of Prochet running a slot fade. There is some separation initially. It's also possible that DB understands what the free safety is going to do. My point is, I don't think it's a great play call. It's very vanilla. There's nothing for Lamar to read. The Giants have taken away our best, option clearly. And then I don't think it's a great allocation of resources with Prochet running the slant. I know we're a little limited because Bateman wasn't playing. So just a quick commentary on that play. Come back to it later. Again, that's against man-to-man or special, double teaming Andrews. Earlier in the game, now this is not man. This is a situation where they have, I think it's Jalen Smith, And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but we were really attacking and isolating him in the pass game. In this case, the Giants are in their 5-1 look. Kayvon Thibodeau drops out to the flats, to the boundary, and we hit Mark Andrews, who crosses Jaylon Smith's face. Actually goes behind him. Smith doesn't stay on the inside shoulder. Easy completion, 2 high safeties. Look, Wink plays 2 high safeties between like the 22 and the 28-yard line, something like that. Now, we're a little further out from that distance, but that is where he generally plays 2 high safeties. That's the same MO he had with the Ravens. Something small to point out, a lot of us have complained about Oweh dropping, and I hold the same complaint. I have the same concerns. But there's even a technique difference. Like, look at Thibodeau when the ball is snapped. He's going to drop out, but he turns his back to the quarterback to ID the route. He doesn't just drop to a spot and guard nothing. I haven't seen this from an outside linebacker for the Ravens since Tyus Bowser. I mean, I just haven't. Houston, when he would zone drop, he stares at the quarterback. Oweh, same thing. Maybe I'm misremembering a few. Yes, this is a different coverage than man, but we at least are. Look at the spread that we have. You have the running back out into the flats. You have I call it space. All right, Andrews is working to the inside and then likely kind of sitting in between the top of the numbers and the hash. You do have a nice, triangulated read here. Lamar clearly has isolated or recognized that Jaylon Smith is the read. Cool, no problem. So that's a good passing concept. It's solid. All right, I offer to you that we do have the possibility to throw to our receivers a little bit later in the progression outside the numbers. Now, this is a compressed formation, another compressed formation, and I'm going to relate this to that last play call. Compressed means one side we've got 2 receivers, in this case Andrews and Wallace to our right, and then we do have Duvernay down here as the X. Kind of a dead giveaway in the Ravens offense. That's, we're usually going to get this and then a clear out route. Sometimes you turn it into a post. Right? I have the benefit of having seen this play already, but I think you're an educated group of fans as Ravens fans, and you understand that what I just drew up is pretty heavily accurate in terms of our tendency. Why am I mentioning this in reference to the final play? You've got different coverages here. Here's why I'm mentioning it. We could have done this on the final play. Not necessarily this play concept. There's no reason, like allocation of resources. What's Prochet do well? Well, he runs a China out like he's bat out of hell. He does a great job on that route right there. He's very shifty. He's got great feet, great hips, probably really strong ankles, and he's able to run that route well, especially against man. He gets open on it, period. I would have liked to have seen some compression on one side, maybe even isolating Andrews to the other side. Being picky, we get to do that. We're Ravens fans. We're passionate. And our offensive coordinator is a professional offensive coordinator who's getting a 6-digit salary. Hello, we can be critical of him. And we can be critical of Lamar, too. I think, though, there is some evidence, and I think this is what Ryan Mink was getting at. Some people really missed the point and thought he was criticizing Lamar. Give Lamar something to read. Okay, you got a high-low here, again on Jaylon Smith. They got to guard Ricard. Like, I don't care what you think about Ricard running routes or whatever. They have to allocate a resource to guard him. And that does help open up, the possibility of that route by Tylan Wallace, Mark Andrews on something like that, later on a little bit deeper. So you have a read for Lamar. You have something for him to read. Yeah, we read Andrews too much in terms of being the primary read. All right, back to that final play. This is actually not the final play, but at least we've created something that's not vanilla. We've got a trip set to our right, and we've got the back to our left side. So trips right B is what I would call it. We don't catch it, but it's a good option for us. Like, it's been there all game long, and it's especially so when Lamar looks out here and he sees 2 high safeties initially, and he sees what looks like man, and man on 1, which is what it ends up being. Lamar delivers the football. Maybe is it 6-8 inches off on the back hip? I guess. It still should be caught. Like, that's a professional wide receiver. Catches balls every day in practice, uses the jugs machine, from different angles, not just standing with your shoulders square, facing the jugs. You turn to the side, you turn it to 45, you get down on your knees, you maybe use a fall pad to catch it, and while you're diving, that's what you do with the jugs machine. That's what you do. So this ball's got to be caught. I would say that Lamar could throw the ball a little bit better, but it's not a bad throw. Man, two man, I guess you would say. And at least we've got an option here for Lamar. And I'm going to be honest with you. Some of you aren't going to agree with this. If we're going to be in a throwing situation, I want the back out in the route. Give me the back out in the route, especially against Wink's defense. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we could attack this area of the field, with someone in a situation where we need yards, especially when the guy who's primarily been defending that area, Jalen Smith, has really struggled in coverage, number one. Number two, we suspect that they're going to be in man. They were just in two-man on the previous play. There's also a aspect of this that another good friend who's a high-level offensive coach said to me. He said, hey, Lamar's got to recognize that he's got a double possibly here. Well, the Giants are trying to disguise it. I mean, agree or disagree. The Giants are at least trying to not show it pre-snap, right? Because they don't want Lamar to know. Makes sense. When you get the end zone angle here in a moment, though, what's Lamar supposed to read? Do you have anything that's, like a smash in to one where he can read this safety? And yeah, man-to-man is a matchup. There's going to be people on here who say, well, we don't have guys who can win man matchups. I mean, it's not true. We've won plenty of them. We've got to give them the Chiefs don't have high-level receivers all the time either. They call appropriate pass plays that are timely and give guys angles. If it's going to be man-free, two-man, let's just say man-free just to this side, down here. You got a matchup. It's either this matchup or this matchup. Fine, whatever. The guy who can really influence it is the safety. And to me, once you've pulled the inside backer out because it's man, I'm talking about this guy 48, you now have the middle of the field to deal with. I just don't know what Lamar's supposed to read or where. And Ryan Mink, I think, was dead on. I don't even know who he works for. I thought he worked for the Ravens. Where's he supposed to go with the football in terms of I read, you do this, bang. The only thing that he has to right now, and again, Ryan Mink said this in his tweet, and I don't even know who the guy is. Like, I'm not trying to support the dude. I just thought it was an accurate tweet, is to try to throw the stop out here to Duve or the stop out here to Robinson because it's man coverage. And I think it's a very limited play. You could also say, Lamar, you got to read that and throw it. That could be true. Maybe Lamar's got to be looking to one side of the field and reading whether or not he can throw the stop. So that's entirely possible. Depending on your offense, depending on what you want, what your quarterback is told to focus on a particular play. I see no available release to Lamar. I just don't. Does he got to protect the football? Absolutely. Can't turn the ball over twice in the final 4.5 minutes. Systemic failure, the title of the video means offensive coordinator, offensive staff, offensive coaches, Lamar. And if you don't like that, just don't watch my channel. There's failure on every level. Failure on the offensive line. We get beat. And regardless of whether we're the third tackle, the fourth tackle, whatever, we get beat. And that's that we can't get beat. Do you think we should keep the running back in to protect? Maybe so. That's fine. It's up to you. Personally, I would like to see him motioned out of there. Get this fifth defender away from the middle of the field. And if there is nothing, if you vacate the area, remember the play I just showed you a moment ago, the slant that Demarcus Robinson dropped? I believe that Drake motioned out of the backfield, and I believe 48 went with him. I could be wrong. If memory isn't serving me right here, then let me know in the comment section. And then at least you've got the option to attack this area of the field where there is a lot of space. And I just don't see in this final play call any concept that it is designed to attack the area of the field we've been hitting the whole game with anyone other than Mark Andrews. You guys let me know what your thoughts are. When I say systemic failure, I mean across the board, everyone. And Lamar's right up there. Like, he's my favorite player, and if you don't believe that, that's on you. I've put out, I don't know, probably 300 videos in the past 2 years, and probably 40 of them is on Lamar Jackson defending him. But in this case, he messed up. But I don't think we're putting, in these situations, I don't think we're putting our guys, we're allocating our resources, the Proches, the Duvernays, the Demarcus Robinsons, even the Drakes. I don't think we're allocating those resources. And I also wonder, against that light of a box, a 5-1, can we not run the ball? Are we not able to run the ball in that situation? Yeah, I understand we need a touchdown, but it felt like to me we were totally unprepared for that situation, totally out of sorts. And if you had said to me, you get to play this possession 5 times as the Ravens offense in that situation, just the way that they played the fourth quarter, I would have to admit it probably looks like if we get 5 shots at it from that position, we probably don't score once. And I don't know how that could possibly be with someone as talented as Lamar Jackson and someone who's top 2 or 3 in their position in Mark Andrews. This was designed to be a little bit of a shorter video. Forgive the rambling on, but I think the point that I was trying to make was systemically there was a huge failure, and I don't think that we're being put in position to read anything on that play that is a if-then statement. If Andrews is open, bang. If the safety to the other side, the Ravens left, the Giants right, if that safety sits high, then I throw the in to Demarcus Robinson, which we didn't run it in. We ran a 5-yard stop. If that safety rolls over to help Andrews or whatever, then I throw the slot fade to Prochet. I didn't see any of that. There's no evidence. You guys let me know. Maybe your understanding of pass concepts is better than mine, and the best spread coach that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And because I had texted him and said, "Hey man, like I don't like this. It doesn't look like a call that gives us anything, or gives us any space, or creates any space. No rub concepts, no compressed formations, no change of direction routes by a guy, Prochet, who has that ability. Certainly, I would say that's his strength, shorter intermediate routes as opposed to a slot fade." Let me know what you think of my thoughts. It's obviously very frustrating. We are, 29 hours, 28 hours, I guess, something like that, past the loss that still doesn't make any sense at all to me in terms of outplaying someone for 48 minutes of gameplay, something like that, 47 minutes of gameplay, and then figuring out a new way to lose an NFL football game. Let me know what you guys think of the video in the comments section.